Hey, Magic fans, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on Capnclyde MTG. Kamigawa Leaks Part 7. That's right, there's even more leaks out as we try to finish up the week and get a good look at the rest of the set before it comes out to play. So, before we get started, guys, remember like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comments down below help see the YouTube algorithm, helps us get to 1,000 subscribers, supports the channel, blah 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 blah. So, appreciate all that, guys. So, give me a hand with that. So tray table and seat backs to full upright position, boys and girls. We're getting ready to take off into leak land. That sounds wrong. Anyway, so we'll start this day off with our very first leak here is a Thundering Raiju, looks like. So 2 red and 2 for a 3/3 haste creature. It's a spirit. Whenever the Raiju attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then Thundering Raiju deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of other modified creatures you control. So so it doesn't count itself, but it will count other creatures. I think this is okay. It's going to be pretty good in limited. In standard, it's going to be questionable. 4 mana for a 3/3 with haste just isn't really good enough unless you're doing this shenanigan here, which we'll have to wait and see if it is going to be good enough because it might not be. Um, and other than that, it's probably not going to see any other play just because it really doesn't do enough, I don't think, for any of the other formats other than maybe Commander. So we're probably looking at like a dollar, $2 rare at best. Moving right along, we have the Grave Lighter. So for a black and 2, you get a 2/2 with flying. That's pretty good on rate. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card if a creature died this turn. Otherwise, each player sacrifices a creature. Wow. So this is actually really a good black card. Great for limited. I can see this getting standard play relatively easily and even beating Commander because if a creature dies, you play it, you get to draw a card, get a free 2/2 flyer. If not, each player sacrifices a creature, like it's removal. I think this is a great uncommon. How much play it will see is yet to be known, but I could definitely see this being a big player maybe in standard, definitely limited. Commander's gonna love it as it does all kinds of things. But because of the 3 mana, it probably won't fit anywhere else. Next, moving right along, we have our first uncommon land, the Roadside Reliquary. Taps for colorless. Comes into play on tap, so that's always good. For 2, tap it. You can sacrifice it to draw a card if you control an artifact. Draw a card if you control an enchantment. Wow, so this is going to be a pretty highly played card in artifact decks with enchantments like Hammer Time, I think. Because 2 mana, tap this, draw 2 cards, basically, is just insane. I think it's going to see a lot of modern play because of decks like Hammer Time, maybe even Pioneer and some other things. Maybe a little standard play. It'll probably be okay in limited, but it's really going to depend on what other cards you get. So I don't think it's going to be really a breakout card. But if you have a deck that can fulfill these categories, this is just amazing. So moving right along, very nice card. I think we're going to see a lot of cool stuff from it. Tawashi Guide Bot. So 4 colorless for a 2/1. I already don't like it. When it enters the battlefield, +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So it could be a 3/1 for 4. Okay, colorless, that's fine. 4, tap, draw a card. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each modified creature you control. Alright, now I'm kind of getting into it. A 3/2 creature at worst that can tap to draw a card and punch your opponent in the face seems pretty sweet. Uh, and also too, if you put the counter on it, it counts itself, so it could be 3 mana to draw a card. This also seems pretty powerful. Great for limited. Maybe too slow and too small for standard. You might see this in a couple modern or pioneer decks, 1 or 2 of, just so you can use the ability to draw cards if they're working off modified creatures. But all in all, I think it's just going to be a regular card. But I think you commander guys out there are feeling me. This looks pretty sweet for those commander decks. Moving right along. Next, we have Touch of the Spirit Realm. So for a white and 2 enchantment, when it enters the battlefield, exile to 1 target artifact or creature until Touch of the Spirit Realm leaves. Alright, so it's basically your pacifism type style, so it can get artifacts. You can channel it to exile target artifact or creature. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Wow, so it's a pacifism / blink spell. This seems a little busted. Great and limited. May even be good enough for standard. Just because of the versatility. I mean, someone locks your creature down with an enchantment, you can blink the creature, enchantment falls off, and then you get your creature back. Or if you're at the point where you need to stop them from, messing with your stuff or killing you, you can just make it an enchantment and lock their creatures down. Uh, I like it a lot. I think it really costs too much mana to work in any other format, though. Probably could be a one of in commander decks that play white. All right, Mind Link Mech. So first rare of the spoilers today's. A blue and two for a 4/3 flying artifact vehicle. So it's got a good rate. Whenever it becomes crewed for the first time each turn, until end of turn, Mind Link Mech becomes a copy of target non-legendary creature that crewed it this turn, except it's 4/3, it's a vehicle artifact in addition to other types, and it has flying. Wow, so that's pretty cool. Crews for one, so almost anything can crew this. Um, I mean, not to mention 3 mana 4/3 is not bad. There could be some shenanigans you could do with this. So, yeah, maybe some standard play. Definitely be good enough for a limited format. Probably as far as it goes, though. All right. Kotosi, the Silent Spider. Okay, black, blue, 3 for a 4/4. Human Ninja. When it enters the battlefield, exile target card in opponent's graveyard other than basic land cards. Search that player's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as that card and exile them. Then that player shuffles. For as long as you control Kotosi, you may play one of those exile cards and may spend mana as any kind. So that's going to be pretty great for limited and standard. Probably be pretty sweet in commander, but the 5 mana cost is really going to keep it out of any other formats. So probably just a couple dollar rare, unless commander really drives the price up because of how sweet this card is. I think it looks pretty sweet. All right, we have a Mech Hanger because why not? Battletech or whatever it's called. All right, so we get a colorless when it comes into play. It doesn't come into play tapped, already good. You can tap it, add 1 mana of any color, spend only to cast a pilot or vehicle spell. That's pretty sweet. 3 tap, target vehicle becomes an artifact creature till the end of turn. Oh, 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 oh. So that's one way to crew creatures with a land. I mean, basically, you have 8/8s, you have nothing to crew with. If you pull this off the top and you have 3 other mana, which you will if you have a big vehicle, you can basically lay this and then animate your vehicle to whatever size it is and swing in. I think this should have been a rare. Gonna be good and limited for the most part. But in standard and commander, this is gonna be busted. I can see vehicle decks now getting made by people that are just absurd, playing 4 of these lands that's not legendary and just laying big vehicles and not caring if they can crew them or not because the land will crew it for them. So yeah, this is probably gonna be the next thing that people are gonna start using their land destruct lands for, or whatever it is they can kill them with. So yeah, this might change the standard format a little bit. Moving right along, we have the Blooming Deer, basically a tree with legs and fur. So for 2 green and 3, you get a 4/4. It's got reach. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library, build a creature or enchantment card from among them, put it into your hand. Rest on the bottom in a random order. If you don't put a card in your hand, this way you gain 4 life. So this is an okay common. It's not going to see probably any play outside of limited. 5 mana is just way too much for what it does. It might see some commander play, so not bad though. Moving right along, we have, here's our first mythic, Kura the Boundless Sky. So 2 green and 3 for a 4/4, flying death touch. When it dies, you search your library for 3 land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, and then shuffle. Wow. Or create an XX green spirit creature token or X the number of lands you control. We've already covered this one. I remember it now. So there's the actual picture and art, even though it's not in English. So, like always, all these dragons are busted. Alright, Roaring Earth. So, a green and 1 enchantment. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. Channel for 2 green, discard the Earth. Put X +1/+1 counters on target land you control. It becomes 0/0 green spirit token with haste. It's still a land. Um, Wow, the green-white deck that likes to use that white enchantments that when things come in, you make cats, and then they get +1/+1 counters, and then become vigilance, and all that good stuff from landfall. This teamed up with that seems pretty busted. I mean, you lay one land, make a 2/2 cat, put a +1/+1 counter on it. And yeah, it just gets out of hand real quick. I think this might see some standard play. It'd probably be okay, to be honest with you, and limited depending on what you're playing. But that's probably about as far as it's going to go. Moving right along, we have Replication Specialist, blue and 4 for a 3/4. Flying, whenever a non-token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay a blue and 1. If you do so, create a token that is a copy of that artifact. Alright, it's very interesting, but for 5 mana, it's probably not going to see a lot of play. Except maybe limited formats, because it is a 3/4 flyer for 5, which is fine. And the ability to lay a giant artifact and then copy it is pretty sweet. Next here we have When We Were Young. So for a white and 3, it's an instant. Up to 2 target creatures each get +2/+2 to end a turn. If you control an artifact and an enchantment, those creatures also gain lifelink. Basic pump spell, 4 mana is a lot. Probably going to see limited play, but that's probably about it. Moving right along, we have the March of Burgeoning Life. So this is the green discard one. So for X and or for green and X, as an addition, you can discard a number of green cards, make it cost 2 less. You choose a target creature card with mana value less than X. Search your library for a creature card with the same name as that creature and put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. This is almost a fixed search spell for green of various different types. Pick whichever one you want to call it. But the ability to do this for 1 as an instant and like fireball out a giant creature is just absurd. Um, you can only get out of your library, but still, like, this is gonna be a $5-10 rare. This is ridiculous. It's gonna see limited play, gonna see standard play. Heck, it might even see modern and pioneer play for the extra ability to discard cards. Like, I think this should have been a mythic. This just seems way too powerful for what it does. I mean, on turn 3, you can discard 2 cards and cast this and go get something that's a 6/6. Or something that's a 6/6 out of your deck and put it onto the battlefield. Like, come on. Yeah, you lose 2 cards, but you think about it in other older formats, like, this could be the new, hey, I'm going to animate something by just having stuff in your deck that you can go fetch and then use this and pitch cards and just go grab it. Like a pro creature of some kind that they can't deal with and just chuck it onto the battlefield. I'm just not. I think it's going to be bad. I think it might get banned or at least restricted. Seems way too powerful, guys. So anyway, moving right along. Acquisition Octopus. Very interesting. So for blue and 2, you get a 2/2. Whenever the Octopus or equipped creature does combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card. It reconfigures for 2. Good common. Going to be great and limited. I don't think it's going to see any play outside of that unless there's a commander guy out there somewhere who just wants to put this in their deck to try to draw cards. So, Alright, next here we have a common, the Kami of Industry. It's a red and 4 for a 3/6. When it enters the battlefield, return target artifact card with mana cost 3 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. This is going to be an okay card for limited. Probably won't see a whole lot of play unless you get a really sweet artifact to, juggle in the graveyard. But other than that, probably not going to see anything unless somebody's playing this in their commander deck. Next, moving right along, we have Reinforced Ronin. Nice, I like that. Extra arm with a sword. Anyway, for 1 red, you get a Human Samurai with haste. It's a 2/2. At the beginning of your end step, return it to your hand. Channel, you can discard the Ronin to draw a card. So this is a sweet common. This is basically a 1 mana shock that they can't wrath. And I like that. I like that a lot. Because let's be honest, you can pay 1 red every turn to make sure you get in, or you can leave it on the battlefield and they just deal with it. So, like, it ties up your mana, it also ties up their mana. The ability to discard it when it becomes no longer useful and draw a card just makes it amazing. Like, as an uncommon, I see this getting played in standard, limited, modern, pioneer, like all kinds of places. I mean, people are dashing Ragavan for 2. I mean, yeah, it has a better effect than this, but like, this is gonna be your standard Ragavan. This thing's gonna be amazing. And it's just an uncommon, so pretty sweet. Next here we have the Rito Sentinel, 3 mana for a 3/3 artifact defender. When it enters the battlefield, target player mills 3 cards. For 3, put a card from a graveyard on the bottom of his owner's library. Alright, probably only going to see um, play unlimited, honestly. I mean, you could play it in Commander in a mill deck, but there's probably better stuff you can play than this. So next we have, oh, look at that, Thirst for Knowledge reprint. Blue and 2, draw 3, discard 2 unless you discard an artifact. Good old Tezzy card from back in the day. So good old Thirst for Knowledge reprint. Great card. There's lots of cards that do things very similar to it. Will it see play? It's going to depend on the deck. I mean, honestly. All right, so here we have Blade of the Oni, mythic, our new mythic, a black and 1 for a 3/1 with menace. It's very nice. Once you equip it to somebody, that creature becomes power and toughness 5/5 with menace and is a black demon in addition to its other colors and types. Reconfigure for 4. This is lots of multi-purpose use. I think this is a good one. This is easily a $5 card, especially if mono black or the aggro format becomes very big. Because not only is it 3/1 menace, this one can block. So, I mean, there's that. So, limited standard, probably the best places you'll see it. All right, here we have Okabayas Rescue. Black and 4 sorcery. Return target creature or vehicle card from graveyard to the battlefield. Put 2+1/+1 counters on it. If you control an artifact and or enchantment. So this is your basic reanimator for 5. We've seen these in several different forms. This one puts counters on. Also lets you get artifacts. Probably we'll see playing limited for sure. Standard, it's going to be very questionable. 5 mana is a lot, but it's possible. But other than that, probably not going to see play anywhere other than maybe Commander Guard. All right, we have Ishin Two Heavens as 1. So we have a 3-color legend here. Black, white, and red. That'd be Marudu for you OGs. So it's a 3/4. That's pretty cool. If a creature attacking would cause a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Pretty sweet as rare. I don't know if this is going to see a whole lot of play. Mana is good in standard, but it's not this good. But it is possible. Going to be good in limited if you can get the mana. If you have a good deck that it can abuse the trigger ability. I don't think Modern's going to see anything like this go down. Mainly because the ability the creature has to attack. And that attack triggers an ability, so it's very narrow. Yeah, so probably, now that I mention it, I mean, at best, Commander, Limited, and Standard, probably nowhere else. Alright, moving right along. Next we have the Spinner Bracelet. A green and 2 for a creature that has reach and is a 1/4, basic spider. You can equip it to another creature to give that creature +1/+4 and reach. Same as usual, reconfigure for 4. Okay card for limited, probably as far as this one's going to go though. Alright, we have Orochi Merge Protector. So a green and 1 for a 1/1. Snake Druid, taps for 1 green, basic dork. As long as the protector is modified, it has tap, add 2 green. So this mana dork runs off the mechanic to get extra mana from the set that's the modification mechanic. We normally see this in about every set, and it's okay. But honestly, you know, we have found that 2 mana for mana dork is okay, just for 1 mana. The ability for this one to give you 2 may make it a little better. Great and limited, might see play in standard, but I doubt it because like mono green and stuff is just better. Plus, we still have the creature, the 1/1 creature taps for a mana that could come into play as a land also, which is better than this, I think, because you can put it into play as a land and not die to a removal spell. With this, will always die to a removal spell. So we'll see how it plays out. Next here we have Shingeki Jakku Visionary. So legendary green enchantment creature, Snake Druid. It's a 1/3. For a 1 and a green, we get to tap it, return it to its owner's hand, reveal the top 4 cards of your library, put a land from among them on the battlefield, tapped, rest in your graveyard. It's kind of like a special version of a Corsair Crewfix. It does have channel though, 2 green and X. You can discard it, return X target non-legendary cards from your graveyard to your hand. That's a sweet ability. Probably just a couple dollar rare at best. Limited, maybe standard. Commander's gonna love it. It's got a lot of different abilities it can use. That's probably really far as it's gonna go. So next here we have Tales of Master Sejiro. Alright, so we have a new saga. It is only a common though. So for green and 4, you have a 1/2 that says put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. It gains vigilance to the end of turn. Is that 1 or 2 mana? Yeah. Or no, one and 2. Sorry. Turns 1 and 2 when it actually goes up. On 3, you exile it, bring it back as a 5/5 Snake Warrior with Vigilance and Haste. Honestly, only gonna be good limited. I mean, waiting 2 turns ain't bad for a 5/5 Vigi Haste, but at the same time, when you cast it on turn 5 and don't get it for 2 more turns, that does make a big difference about how bad it is. It's basically costing 7. So, limited probably only. So here we have Go Shinta of Boundless Vigor. So for green and 1, you get a 1/1. Legendary enchantment creature Shrine. But it's the Shrine, okay. Has trample. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target shrine for each shrine you control. So more shrines for the shrine deck, guys. Probably just commander. I mean, this could be an okay card in standard and definitely limited because you can just, put a +1/+1 counter to every turn for 1 mana. So that's cool, but it's probably not going any further than that. Next here we have Boon of Bossejo. So this is a 1 green and 1 instant. Target creature gains +X/+X in their turn, where X is the greatest mana value among permanents you control. Untap it. This could be really good. 4/4 for 2 mana, getting a +4/4. Limited all-star, maybe even good in standard, depending on how the decks play out. But if we keep the decks on a lower curve, kind of like the mono green that we have right now, this may not be good enough because it costs 1 extra, and Giant Growth used to be +3/+3 for all you OGs. We would need this to be at least +4 or 5. But in the new world, maybe that's good enough. So moving right along, we have Shinga Akobi Gang Leader. So black, white, and 1 for legendary creature Rat Pilot. So 4/3 for 3, so that's pretty sweet. Beginning of your combat during your turn, return target vehicle card from your graveyard onto the battlefield. It gains haste. Return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of your next instant. Okay, this is just nuts. Like, this goes in the artifact decks, and you can kill the artifacts all day long. This thing's going to come out and pop them right out of the graveyard, crew it, and then punch you in the face with it. So, yeah, easily a $5 card. I think this will see standard play. Going to be great and limited. Commander's going to love it for those new commander decks out there. But honestly, that's probably about as far as it's going to go. We don't have a whole lot of vehicles going down in other formats. All right, Moon Snare Adept. So for a blue and 3, we get a human ninja. It has ninjutsu of blue and 2. It's a 2/2 creature. When it enters the battlefield, return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand. So that's pretty sweet. This is going to be a great limited card. That's really probably as far as it's going to go, since not only is it a common, but the cost of it's pretty expensive. So moving right along. Akabi Ambusher, a black and 3 for a 3/2 artifact creature ninja rat. Ninjutsu black and 1, and it has lifelink. So if you can ninjutsu this, then it's going to be great, which means this could be part of a new black aggro deck, which I would say would make it very playable in standard, definitely in limited. Seems like an okay card to have ninjutsu commander deck in. But other than that, I don't think it's going to see anything else too special. All right, guys, discover the impossible. So this one says a blue and 2. Excuse me. You get an instant look at the top 5 cards of your library, exile one of them face down, and put the rest on the bottom of the library in random order. You may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost if it's an instant spell with a mana value 2 or less. If you don't, put that card in your hand. So this is an okay draw spell, depending on what your deck's made of. Like a 2 mana instant paying 3 to find it, it's probably not going to cut it in standard. Now, with that said, limited could be pretty good because you might want to go find those removal spells or what have you. But, like, in modern and stuff, like when you're really looking for a card you can cast for free and you need to dig 5 cards deep to help win a game, this could easily be put in some of those modern Pioneer combo decks as a trigger card to help start the combo and win. So we have to watch out for this one, boys. You might actually see some play. So, with all that said, guys, I'd like to say thank you. That's the Kamigawa spoilers for the day. Had a good amount of time today, so won't hold you up too long. Don't forget, if you've already supported everything you can to get likes and subscribes and tell people to support the channel, there's always a link in the description to the eBay store where all these cards will be going on sale when I start my box opening video. So stay tuned for that because it's going to be a fun one. So until next time, be kind, everybody, and remember, I hope to see you across from the game table.